Welcome back to my channel, and today I would like to explain more about the feature and the mode in the Photo Pro apps of Xperia 1 Mark IV. Of course, this also will be applied to other Xperia smartphone that having the same feature. But for Xperia 1 Mark IV, Sony have integrated the basic mode together with the Photo Pro app. Previously, there is only auto, P mode, program auto, shutter speed priority, manual exposure, and memory recall. Right, so this is a different mode that you can pick in the Photo Pro apps. First thing that you need to know, in most of scenario, I think basic mode will be able to handle very well. Right, but today what we are trying to talk is about the program auto, or the feature on the right hand menu here. Right, so on the left hand side there's a display to trigger whether we can read more information, like how many storage you are left, which megapixel that you have picked, which file format you are choosing, and whether there is a HDR auto or off. Right, then there's a leveling that you can indicate whether you have a proper leveling on your camera and the exposure on screen. Bottom left, there's a different lens that you can pick, but today we will just focus on 24mm. If you look at the 4 indicator at the bottom of the viewfinder, there's one of the shutter speed, our aperture, exposure, and ISO. On the right, there's a different exposure level that you can increase or decrease based on the 1/3 stop. This is autofocus on button, and this is auto exposure lock button. I will explain it in later. So first symbol is a drive mode, so you can pick different drive mode based on your scenario. We have single, this is 20 fps, continue shooting high speed, low speed. Then we also have the HDR high speed in Xperia 1 Mark IV, as well as the HDR low speed. If you are trying to take some photo on the tripod without any shaking, you can pick on your shell timer. Flashlight, there are multiple flashlight. If you are trying to take a portrait flash with the flashlight, probably you have to turn on a red eye reduction. Right, next one is about the photo focus mode. So there are three. Once in manual focus, definitely you can adjust. Are you trying to macro shot, or you trying to adjust into a further things? Right, but in most of scenario, people will just pick single shot autofocus, or maybe continue autofocus. The difference is single shot autofocus, it will just lock into one thing. When I half press a button, it will lock on the style cover with stand. Even when I move out my project, the autofocus will lock in this location. Can you see that? If we pick continual autofocus, once we capture the style covers with stand, if we move, it will follow. It will continue to track the object that we are showing over here. So pick the different autofocus mode based on your scenario. Example, you are trying to having a video shot that trying to slide from one point to another point, but your autofocus, you already lock your focus on that particular far object, so you have to use the single shot AF. Okay, next one is the white balance. So there are a lot of white balance that you can pick, as well as you can change your you can preset your preferred white balance based on yourself. So a lot of customization that you can pick, and you can choose based on the color that you need. Okay, over here we use back auto. The next one is about the focus area. So when we trying to use a white, is based on the scenario. Example, you are trying to take a group photo, so probably you will need a wide focus area. If you're trying to do a vlog or selfie and don't want the phone to focus the people on the side, so you can choose center, which is this part. Okay, but in most scenario, I also will advise that you pick on the white. Face or eye autofocus, keep it on by default. Right, next thing is the file format. Whether you pick JPEG, RAW, there's a one indicator on the top left, so you will know which file format that you will pick. Next thing, ISO. So ISO, you can pick whatever ISO, and in this P mode, it will automatically adjust the shutter speed based on your whatever setting. Right now I'm trying to fix on ISO on 64, and my shutter speed will be lower to 1/4. If I choose high ISO, my shutter speed will auto increase. So this is the advantage of the P mode. If you do not know how to do that, you can just learn how to adjust ISO, and my advice is not over 400 or maybe max is a 500 for the indoor environment. If you go to outdoor, then you can set as low as 64. Right here I pick back for the auto. Then this ratio that of your photo, which is common 4/3, 16/9, and square types, right? The bottom right is the auto HDR or dynamic range optimizer from Sony camera itself. So if you are trying to take a screen with the bad light, so you probably can turn on the auto HDR or DRO. You can try and error by selecting all these feature. The last thing is about the metering mode. This is very important when you are trying to you are mastering all the how to get the right exposure. You can pick on the right better metering mode. For normal beginner, I will advise you keep on the multi, where multi mode will capture all the single. If you open the grid line over here, can you see the different let me put in the white color. There's a nine location on the viewfinder, so 9 square over here, right? So if you pick on the multi, it will capture every single area of the exposure and take the most average one, right? So right here you look at the screen, it looks very average, looks good. But if you change to the center, it will handle on these center parts only. So if you capture on the very dark item, it will try to increase your exposure like this on my viewfinder right now. Okay, but if you focus on the white area, it will bring back the exposure. It will try to reduce the overall exposure based on the center, right? If I focus on my black table, it will bring up my exposure up again. Okay, lastly is a spot metering mode, where it's based on the very center of the spot on the viewfinder, If you can see right now, I'm focusing on the black box, and my viewfinder are increasing without adjusting any exposure, right? So this is usable for those professional photographer. They will know how to get the most accurate exposure based on their scenario. Example, okay, so here there's a one or auto exposure lock, where you can lock the exposure once you feel that this is the right exposure for your photo. So no matter how you move, you want to change to the wide exposure, it will slightly overexpose right here. Let me try once again. Focus on very black color and try to lock the exposure. So we can see right now my viewfinder are overexposed. I cannot see the style cover withstand anymore. So this is good when you're trying to capture a certain scenario without overexpose your object, and you have to try to learn on this exposure lock. Autofocus on is basically it will lock on your item. Example, I try to simulate two different things. Right here I cannot right now my autofocus will be focused on the front, which is the casing, the cover, right? And when I half press on it, it will not focus on the background. You will focus the foreground, which is the style cover just now, right? So you can use this button to lock on it. That example, I'm trying to get it closer once again. So my autofocus will always lock at this area. It will not capture the, even I change and move my cover to the background, it will not focus over there, unless this will be very useful when you're trying to use the single shot AF. If you are using the continuous AF and I'm trying to lock on, let me try it once again, get further. See, it will auto track my style cover withstand, right? It's similar like you half press of your shutter button, right? So this one you have to learn how to use that, and it will give you a great things how to handle your photography. Okay, so this is some of the explanation for today, and next I will probably go to the shutter speed and manual mode. But if you know how to use every single feature in the Photo Pro apps, basically you can try to improve your photography skill in your mobile. I think that's all for today, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.